Alrighty guys, so it's a few days later here with the 432 project, and I don't know if you guys can hear or not, but I'm a little bit under the weather, we'll say. So I apologize for the voice during this, but I gotta put up with it, so do you guys. But anyhow, what's transpired since the test drive is I've been monkeying around, basically just adjusting things. As a whole, the tractor is good, but it needs some fine-tuned things to make it function semi-normally. Like I adjusted the high-low clutch linkage over here so it would shift in and out fairly easy. Before I had to take a hammer and basically hit it in. I adjusted the left side brake. Let's see, what else have I been monkeying with? Oh yeah. I got the choke cable moving. I think you guys can see that. I think. Can you guys see that? So the choke cable now works. I'm debating about putting the choke cable as a throttle cable for right now. Because the throttle cable needs a new end bend on it. It broke off at some point. It was probably broke off when I started messing with this tractor. But the cable does physically move, so if I can get a new end crimped on that, it would work. Found out the carb does leak through if you let it sit for a while. Because I was assuming it was leaking off the fuel pump, but it's actually leaking out of the carb down onto the fuel pump. But it's very possible there's rust in there. I'm running through the old metal lines, etc. I haven't pulled the carb bowl yet and looked at it. Because really, I need to put a fuel filter in up here somewhere. Or what I may do, and I've been thinking across this, across the board, is order a whole spool of, I believe 1/4 inch is the size I need, because I think what I have is 5/16. Do I have a piece somewhere the numbers are showing on? Yeah, it's 5/16. I believe I bought it on accident. I wanted a bunch of 1/4 inch, and I accidentally bought 5/16, not paying attention. Goes to show, pay attention even if you type searches in. But yeah, I've been trying to use that up for a while, so that's why you can see that on there. And I don't have any more hose clamps at the moment, so it's kind of hard to put a fuel filter in there and not have it leak. So that is that. Then we got some details to finish up. I come over here to my junk drawer, which actually is what made me pull out the camera and kind of forgot. So I need a choke cable clip. The camera will focus. There you go. My junk drawer with a bunch of parts in it you think you'd never use, but come over here and you can pull out a choke clip. Hold the line on, so that's handy to have. I have 2 of them. Basically, this is like carburetor parts and stuff. And you got like valves and shifter handles that weren't bad, but were a weird color I pulled off of something, and a whole bunch of the different style mag couplers. I don't know why that's up there. But there's a couple of those back there. Oh, I got dog ears out of my ears, PTO parts. Hey, there's that points cover I was looking for. Ha ha! Score! I don't know where the screws went for it, but at least I got the cover now. All I need is the screws. Score 2 for Steve. Look at that. I'm glad I got the camera out now. I've still been hunting for that. This has the little plunger in it to kill the points, which I'll never use, but that would be handy on something that has a recoil ignition like the 5240 here. Not a recoil ignition, but a non-battery ignition. Because then if the key switch doesn't work, you can always ground it out with this. So I might switch them covers. I don't know. No matter what you do, cover's gonna stand out because it's not yellow. Mellow yellow. Find a Cub Cadet and get one, I guess. But anyhow, just kind of stuff them up to. And it looks like I went backwards, but I pulled the seat pan off to make it easy to mess with the clutches, because then I can engage it, disengage it in both directions, and be able to get to the adjustment at the same time. And I had the left rear tire off too to adjust the brakes, so that made it easier. But so that's what I'm doing, just going through, fine-tuning some things and making it happen. Wish I had 2 tubes to put in the rear tires right now, because that would kind of seal that up. And I think this battery will work in here. It wasn't really a plan to keep this battery in here, but I might do it anyhow, just to have a battery in it. And I still got to put the bolts in the gas tank bands, and stick the, once I do the gas tank bands, I can stick the grill back in it. That's why it's still out. And yeah, because kind of need the hood on to keep the dash from flopping around, ruining the steering gear down there while you're using it. For a short test drive, it's okay, but it's definitely not a good idea to run it like that. Still got the early style 2-spoke steering wheel, which the only other tractor I think I have that has that. I'll have to double check. I know my 68 430 has one. The 424 may have one, and maybe the 67 430. I don't know. That'd be a curiosity. Maybe I'll go back there and look just for kicks and giggles. Go out and walk around a little bit while it's warmer out. And it's not like 15 degrees. If you guys can see out there, yeah, it changed. In the sunlight, the snow melted. If you're in the chateaus, ground is froze and still snow. So, alright, I'm going to go back and check them steering wheels out. I know the 68 430 does. I don't have to go over there, so be right back. Got the heat on out here too. Alrighty guys, so back here with the 424. Definitely has an early steering wheel. Still has a center cap in it too, which is unusual. And the other 67 430 has it. I'm pretty sure I said 424, 430, both 67s. And hopefully you guys can see it there. I'm just reaching on over, but 2-spoke steering wheel. Yeah. Nothing else I really need to look at, best of my knowledge. No, because the earlier stuff's a little bit different. And I had thought by 69 that the 400 series had gone to the steering box. But maybe that steering box wasn't introduced until 70. Because I shouldn't be walking and talking, make you guys sick, but the 71 450 has a steering box. The 71 430 NB powered has a steering box. And my 71 432 has a steering box. Instead of like the old school, like rack gears, is what I call it. The original steering setup that actually worked. So, okay, heat's on in the shop here, so we'll go back inside and keep monkeying. I don't know how that turned out. You guys are probably looking at my nose hairs. Oh, still recording yet. You guys didn't think I'd notice. I knew I dropped that there. I had the camera in my hand. Professional. Just a test clip, see how noisy it is here. Because I noticed the old heater was getting kind of quiet. Might have something to do with it. I spend most of my time videotaping over here, so see what it sounds like. Of course, I left that on top of the tank and leaked oil on it. Nice. Alrighty guys, so I ran into something interesting here this morning, which either I've been really lucky up to this point, or I don't know. Let me put a little bit more light on the subject. Hold on. I can't tell if you guys can see or not since the camera screen's messed up now. Anyhow, you can see the end of the cable over there by the gas can. That is the one out of the 432. And this cable you see, which I don't know where you guys are looking at exactly, but going up top here, the shorter one, is out of a 800 series. And it's like a full... it's a full foot shorter. Now, if the cable was about 8 inches longer, it would work. Be a little tight, you know, but it would work. And what I'm wondering was, I pulled two of these cables out of two different, 800 series frames. I'm wondering if they're not the same cable that is in like this 566 here. Because if you lay it down there and loop it around, I don't know, it might be a little bit long for that, but it would be about right. Would probably be about right. I'm wondering if somebody didn't put two somebodies, or maybe the same somebody owned two of them frames, put a walk behind cable in a rider frame. I don't know, I'm kind of stumped because I was like, oh yes, another throttle cable. Yanked it out, come over here, went to put it in. I have one in here right now. Right here is the cable. You can see it comes back to about the center of the cylinder head. If you guys are looking at it, I have no idea. But yeah, if you try and cross it over to the other side, because the throttle's on the right hand side of the dash and the choke's on the left, it no reach compadre. Let me show you. It goes to about the exhaust. So, I'm guessing I might just have to buy a throttle cable for this. Because I have, basically this one here is too short, not the other one I have. The original one, the ends broke off of, and it's too short now, by about an inch or so. Then, over here, I've been monkeying with another cable. Where the heck did it go? It was just here, but anyhow, I can't get the cable to move inside of the conduit. I don't know what I did with it. Look around a little bit. I don't know what I did with that. If I hung it back up. Did I hang it back up? Oh, I don't know. Because that was the one I took off. The one I was monkeying with did not have... I heard the autofocus working. Is it this cable? Yeah, I must have hung it back up here. Yeah. I was trying to get the actual cable part out of the center of this, but it's because the outside part is broken. So of course this part moves freely. It's stuck down here somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but I've been monkeying with it on and off for a couple days, and thus far I've been unable to get it to move. Because if I could get the center out of this cable and put it in that conduit, I'd be in business. But no, it's not that simple. So what I'm going to do is trying to avoid buying cables. I don't know if you guys know, but that's like the stuff that kind of like nickels and dimes you in monkeying with this sort of stuff if it needs new throttle and choke cables. But yeah, that's what I'm up against. So I have another frame over there Has a throttle cable in it, broken like this one. Has a choke cable in it, it is seized. So, because I could take the actual cable and put in that conduit and make it work too. If I can get that to move. And of course, it's at the moment it's cold outside. It's supposed to be every bit of 50 later. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep monkeying with it, guys, and I'll bring you back when I figure something out. Still trying to get this new heater set so it's heating up to a decent temperature and kicking back on at the decent temperature. The thermostat on it is so finicky because this barn is drafty. It'll literally kick on for 30 seconds every 2 minutes. So I'm back on the original thermostat, which is apparently deciding to be a butt 2 now, and kicking it off at like 70 and back on at 55, which it never did before. I don't know what the heck's going on. Ghosts, I tell you, ghosts. I must have upset somebody somewhere. Later, guys. Alright, guys. Working on this choke cable here. I feel like I'm doing some kind of weird exercise, but I'm putting some oil on it, working it back and forth. It works easy if you use both, but if you only use one, it does not work easy. So, yeah, I think I'm going to end up like I was thinking before and pulling this cable the whole way out and putting in the other conduit. And it's actually probably a good 10 hours later. It was probably 10 o'clock in the morning when I was talking to you guys last. It is now 8 o'clock at night, Christmas Eve. I'm out here monkeying with this. So, I hope it's recording. I hope it's seeing what I'm doing. But, that's as easy as it'll work. I don't know. I'll try taking one end out of the bench vise and just working it with a single pair of vice grips. At least you guys should be able to see it now for sure. See, it's tough to work with a single pair of vice grips. It does work, so I don't know. Either that cable's got a kink in it somewhere or something. I can pull it the whole way out and oil it too, I guess. Alrighty, guys, this one works pretty good. I can work it by hand. This is the one that the center was too short, and the cable out of the one I was messing with. Something was screwed up with that conduit because I had a hard time getting it out, and it slides good in this one. So, oh well. Now we'll have a throttle cable. Aha! Let's install it and see what happens. Alrighty, I think you guys will be able to see this, but we have throttle action from the dash. We have choke action from the dash. The choke's a little bit stiff too. You know, a whole lot I can do with that one. It's got ends bent on both ends, but pretty much everything I got left to do. Points cover, air cleaner back. I gotta check to see if I have screws in the garage for the air cleaner back. And I took the battery out of the. Let's see, where are you guys at? Where are you guys at? I think you're over here. Out of the 70 all-white 408, and it's been charging there. We'll mine the battery behind it. That is battery out of our camper, which sits out back of the porch, which hasn't worked for years. And I believe the battery just shit the bed here finally over the winter. So, anyhow, I get that through under the hood, see if it's got enough power to crank it over before I waste my time. And yeah, I'm gonna see if I got some screws floating around that'll work for that. Hold on, be back, guys. Okay, small battery test. Test 1. Air cleaner housing is now mounted. Points cover is now installed. don't think it has any gas in it, so odds of it starting are slim. Messing with the points wire back here, I realized it was laying up against the cylinder. Really, the wire is supposed to go through the stainer and across, but I just haven't got around to doing that. Pour a little bit of gas in it, see what she does here. See if she'll crank up. I think I have anything too importantly. It's working to me. Again, hopefully you guys saw that okay. So, I think that's going to be it for me tonight. I might put the hood on it, but I think that's going to be it. Later, guys. Alrighty, guys. Figured I'd do just a short little video here. Come out this morning, Christmas morning, and I bolted the seat pan back down on it. And later on here, maybe after lunch, we'll air the tires up and take it out for a drive. The only thing I realize I still need to do is I'm pointing at, but anyhow, there we go. The grill is still laying under the front tire there. I need to put that in, but otherwise everything works. Starts, it runs, it drives, it moves, PTO works, headlights work, battery even charges. At least it did last time I checked. Steering is okay. So, that's going to be it for the work right now, unless something dramatic happens here while I'm test driving it. And, yeah, call it a day. Later, guys.